Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shah. Thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning. Well, we'll welcome our first guest in a bit, but just to bring you up to date with what's happening across here in Trinidad and Tobago. First of all, starting with COVID-19. Now, a lot of discussions surrounding the virus within recent times, of which the World Health Organization declared it was no longer a public health emergency, or we're out of a pandemic. However, as of September last year, a new subvariant of the Omicron strain of the COVID-19 virus, which is now being referred to as JN.1, this subvariant actually popped up in France of last year. And what is taking place now is an explosion, and given all that I've read and researched, it seems most appropriate to describe it as an explosion of cases globally of COVID-19. Now, beyond that, what we are seeing that is very different with this particular subvariant as compared to the Omicron is that the most common symptom, according to clinicians that have treated patients who are suffering from the subvariant, is actually diarrhea and a headache. Yes, so whilst you may be experiencing similar symptoms if you actually suffer from the Omicron variant, which was, of course, a loss of smell or a fever, a sore throat, a headache, or a cough, the most common symptom or the first signs of the JN.1 variant is that of diarrhea. And a lot of people have been actually mistaking this for the common cold or influenza, as we refer to it. And that is a bit of a problem, because though you are going for influenza vaccines, and we can only advocate that you do such, it's really difficult at this point in time. You have doctors within the Ministry of Health, at least one doctor plus the Minister of Health, who have been speaking, giving the level of reassurance that is probably required given it's a very busy period of time of year. Carnival. We don't want to do anything to upset Carnival. We can't afford to do anything that would really upset the Carnival festivities or the Carnival season. But precisely what is the truth surrounding COVID-19 cases here in Trinidad and Tobago? And even what is the truth surrounding the number of deaths? And I phrase it that way because I'm not entirely sure what's taking place within the public health care system in regards to COVID-19 cases and COVID-19 deaths. And that's really important, because if you take a look back to 2019, we full on in Carnival. In December of 2018, we saw the news coming out of China in regards to the COVID-19 virus. Sorry, December of 2019, in regards to the COVID-19 virus. Months prior, it was being referred to as a mysterious respiratory disease, not entirely sure what it is. Then COVID-19 happened, and we went full on into Carnival, ladies and gentlemen, in 2020. We went full on. Following which, almost immediately after Carnival, we had to shut down. Yeah, and Carnival was a super spreader. So I'm not pushing us to panic. I'm not saying that we really need to, go into panic mode and start our extreme measures as previously. However, I'm urging you to take precautions. According to the World Health Organization, it's probably stating that COVID-19 cases globally are 60% higher than actually what is being reported. And that is insane. So the latest is the JN.1 variant, which really, it has similar symptoms to influenza, of which without a PCR test, you most likely would not be able to tell is COVID-19. But as I mentioned, one private healthcare doctor actually took to social media just to inform people, should you be suffering with symptoms such as a cough, a sore throat, a headache, a fever, and diarrhea, don't just say it's the influenza and the virus and you're going to go on panel for a couple of days. No, it is actually most likely to be the JN.1 variant, because it has also been noted that given the time of year, the extreme dry weather that we are facing in the Caribbean, or we're heading into, respiratory illnesses or respiratory diseases, such numbers would be on the climb. So please, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you to just take your precautions as best as possible. I will encourage you to wear a mask if it is possible, because I know a lot of people probably don't have masks anymore, have to go purchase masks, and it may not be at the top of their list, but at least washing your hands or sanitizing. I was actually very disappointed that we stopped practicing such. As soon as the pandemic was declared as over, guess what? Supermarkets and restaurants, most of them just actually stopped providing water bins and taps and soap for you to really cleanse your hands, even sanitizer. But I hope we can take such practice into our own hands. Anyway, moving on, just to give you an update with Ghana, and I thought this was rather intriguing. Ghana yesterday presented a budget. The Guyanese government presented a budget which, when total, actually accounts for 1.1 trillion Guyanese dollars. That is most incredible, 1.1 trillion Guyanese dollars. The budget is actually 46% bigger than last year's budget. No new taxes have been implemented. In fact, the government has argued that over the last 4 years, they've actually decreased already existing taxes. They've not implemented or announced any new measures. It's the first time in the history of Ghana that the budget has gone over the $1 trillion mark. It is absolutely incredible what's happening there, even with the updates, the regional updates, of which we will provide you throughout the course of AM Prime, whether it be today or during this week. You'll see how Ghana is investing that money, and even in regards to border and immigration, for example, they're now going to be using biometrics and facial recognition scanning as part of their border security and immigration security. So a lot is happening across in Ghana, and it's most intriguing what's taking place there. But $1.1 trillion, almost 50% bigger than it was last year, the budget that was announced yesterday. But as I said, we'll have regional updates to share with you to bring you more on what is happening there. We're going to take a quick break now on the program, and when we return, well, we'll have more to speak about. We'll be right back.
Like many others trying to save on Carnival, Gabby thought she should go for 50% off makeup.
What about the other side? Well, Daisy 50% off offer. So you know?
No makeup artist we don't know. What we do know is the savviest savings for Carnival are at KFC. Get a Chap Chap box, 1-piece chicken, 1 regular fries, and a biscuit for only $25.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WASN,
the content capital.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
My name is Carl Media. I'm the founder and the host of Ever Increasing Voice Ministries. Join me every Saturday and Sunday on WESN, this powerful station, at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. nightly. Also on Sundays, I'll be on at 7 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. at night time. When you come here, we are getting people heavenly ready.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Is it politics? What is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I mentioned previously, Guyana yesterday presented a $1.1 trillion budget. It's the first time in history it's passed the $1 trillion mark. Now, This was an update given last week in regards to Guyana. I'm speaking about a regional update now. The governing People's Progressive Party Civic, PPPC, in its 2020 election campaign said it would make university education free by 2025. More recently, President Dr. Irfan Ali said the government is gradually moving towards making university education free, and the first step would be dealing with students who already have loans. So let's take a look at this update from Guyana.
This is the University of Guyana's Turkine campus. It is one of several tertiary level educational institutions across Guyana. And by 2025, education here and at other tertiary level educational institutions should be free. This was a commitment made by the People's Progressive Party Civic government in its 2020 elections campaign. And since then, government officials, including President Dr. Irfan Ali, have reiterated their commitment to making tertiary education free across Guyana. More recently, during a year-end interview with the newsroom, the president reiterated that commitment. But he also said, starting 2024, this year, the government will be pursuing a phased approach at making education free. According to him, the government will tackle students who are paying loans first.
It's going to be an approach that commences the implementation of free education. As you know, there are persons who are already on the register who are paying loans. So I think that that segment of the student population will have to be addressed first, and then we phase ourselves in.
Of course, to really understand this initiative and how it will impact students, it's important to hear from students themselves. That's why we're talking to the president of the University of Guyana Student Society, Shakwan Gill. Shakwan, really, how do you think such an initiative to have free UG, but first to deal with students paying loans, how might that help the student population?
Well, I've heard a lot from students over the last year or so about the significant complaints that they've had about facilities fees, the tuition in and of itself, and a number of other areas in which they're paying fees that they feel like they really shouldn't be paying for. And I think this initiative, particularly for those students who are working, may not be working the best jobs and paying them the best amount of money, but to still have to find that money at the end of the month to pay their student loans, to have that forgiven, I can only imagine how much of an impact that will have. I know that a lot of students are excited for something like this to come into play. And we too we have been saying from the beginning of time that the University of Guyana and tertiary education is enshrined in our constitution for it to be free, and this is what we're hopeful for. And so to hear the president, make that statement earlier this week, and of course even since 2020, is something that we're extremely happy about.
Right. Of course, you are a representative of people who are already students. Do you believe that such a move is going to encourage more persons to attend the University of Guyana, but also tertiary education institutions across the country?
Of course. I think it's important to underscore the fact that free education is something that serves as an incentive for people to get education. But one of the things that we've always advocated for and will continue to advocate for, even upon the implementation of this policy, is to ensure that with this free education, the quality of education is not reduced. And I think that is something that has to be taken into consideration when this decision is made, because of course, although you want more people to get their education, you don't want the quality of education to drop, and then people feel as though they can't come to the University of Guyana for quality education, so they go elsewhere for it. And once that is in the entire conversation before it's implemented, I think it's going to be something that's going to be truly impactful.
Do you think that's happening?
I think that is happening. I've said from the beginning of my presidency that this is something that all of the students want. Of course, it has to be carefully looked at. We have been happy about this since it was a manifesto promise of both parties when it was elections in 2020. And so to hear about the plans continuing to roll out is exciting, but of course we'll believe it when we see it.
With the 2024 national budget slated to be presented in the coming weeks, it is expected that some measures to address how the government will make education free and will approach this phased approach at making education free will be announced.
All right, moving across now to Jamaica. Jamaicans have been urged to monitor their bank accounts amidst a plethora of incidents where customers' accounts saw suspicious withdrawals. Now, we have an update in regards to this particular story, one instance of which we will share with you tomorrow, but let's hear from this report in Jamaica.
Jamaicans are being urged to monitor their bank accounts in the new year as cyber criminals may be waiting to carry out attacks after gaining access to personal data. They're also being encouraged to start the year right by making a budget. Javon Keys reports.
Let's say you've cleared the holiday season with all your finances intact and no cyber threat. Well, it's not yet time to breathe a sigh of relief.
Your card might be cloned in December, but you might not see any kind of activities happening until January.
Gavin Dennis is a cybersecurity expert.
Now people might be on edge. They might be looking out for unusual things, checking their accounts regularly, doing things like that. But in January, people usually say, oh, okay, I'm low on funds. So, they start to just relax and they're not too worried because they think they don't have much money right now. And that's also when a lot of those activities will start to happen. Closer to the salary period for January, when the criminals know that a new set of money is going to come in, people have been relaxed for a while, that's when they will pull the trigger on some of these, the theft, and start to move money from people's accounts.
You are being encouraged to keep all transaction receipts, make note of where you used your card, and report any strange activity to the bank. Now is also the time for putting things in place to outline the plans for your money.
You have the discretionary side of the budget and you have the bare bone side of the budget.
Financial advisor at Sagicor, Fabian Gordon, says the budget needs to be realistic.
The bare bone budget is simply the minimum that you need to earn or to generate to survive. The light bill, the water bill, the internet bill, grocery, the loan if you have a loan, or the car payment. All of these stuff are necessary. And then you have the discretionary side of the budget, where these are stuff that you don't necessarily do on a monthly basis. Like, let's just say that you don't take a vacation every month, but it is always wise to save for the vacation.
He says it's even better if your revenue stream is diversified.
See how best you can do something to increase your income or your earning, or to create another source of income so that you can use that income now to achieve or to do whatever it is that you want to do. And at that time, let's just say that that expense now disappear. It simply means that you would have another source of income that is now free, that you can grow from.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, though that may be happening in Jamaica, just bear in mind that the lessons or the advice shared also applies to us here in Trinidad and Tobago. Anyone with a bank account, bear that in mind. All right, let's take a break on the program. When we return, I'll welcome my first guest for the morning. We'll be right back.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Site, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former Mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the Content Capital.
We look at a figure in the vicinity of $3 million
to be able to run the school as we would like in terms of capital projects, as well as operational costs from the government provided funds. What that means is that we have to be very creative. The Queen's Royal College All-Inclusive Fete is geared towards helping us with some major projects. Right now, the entire West Block is devoid of AC. Our science block is a very archaic and ancient educational space. We have a number of electrical issues, and we are working on those. We need the financial assistance there. There is also another element sometimes that people do not pay much attention to. That element of socializing, getting people of different generations together so that we can continue the work across the different generations to ensure that the legacy is always intact.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing more that I can say and that would help to introduce this conversation. It was all said there in that presentation by Mr. David Simon. He's the principal of Queen's Royal College, and I'm joined by him in studio this morning. Hello, Mr. Simon. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining me. And we're joined by Miss Esther Calendar George. She is the president of the PTA. Welcome to the program. I like the blue, by the way.
Royal.
Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Well, before we even get into the celebrations, based off of that video, I understand that QRC is actually facing a number of challenges, and you would have just mentioned some in that particular presentation. But could you expand on exactly what is happening at the school?
Okay, so of course Queen's Royal College, that is one of the oldest secondary schools in Trinidad and Tobago, even one of the oldest educational institutions in our country. So quite naturally, with that age, there are bound to be structural and infrastructural issues that we will have to deal with. The main building is sitting there since 1904, all right? To this year, it's 120 years. So naturally, there are going to be issues. There are issues throughout the school as well, not only in the main building, even the blocks that have been added after the main building, we have issues. So we have electrical issues throughout the school. We have issues with leaking roofs. The main building suffers from that, as well as the north, the west block. Our pavilion needs quite a lot of work to be able to be used safely by our students. Even the lighting throughout the compound is something that causes an issue. In our modern world, our perimeter fencing is very low. That is something we would like to address and raise the fence to ensure that everyone inside is as secure and safe as they possibly can. We also have an issue right now with our entire West Block, which is without the AC, all right? And we are seeking right now to have that matter rectified. That in itself is a very, very costly project. So there are a number of infrastructural issues. And of course, Queen's Royal College has always been pleading for more space. We are very cramped because our student population has increased significantly and sits pretty close to 800.
Oh, wow.
Right? And when we look at the space that we have available, it is not enough space for us to be comfortable as an educational institution. It is why years ago we attempted to have discussions, and we did have discussions about the possibilities of getting the space that was assigned for Queen's Royal College in which included where the old Ministry of Education is located.
Yes, yeah.
So there are many factors surrounding Queen's Royal College and its transformation in terms of the educational landscape of Trinidad and Tobago.
And I see as you were speaking, Miss Calendar George is shaking her head because, you know, based on what Mr. Simon is saying, I mean, as president of the PTA, what are some of the concerns expressed by the parent population in regards to these challenges or these issues?
Well, I can say that the burning one was the air conditioning system, because we all know that we did suffer some hot spells last year.
And it's going to get worse.
And it's going to get worse. So that was a really burning issue. The other one, of course, was the electrical, because it's the safety of our young men, right? So one thing happens and you have to evacuate the entire school, and this can happen on more than one occasion at any given time. I've recently learned that they had to shut down one of the, I think the North Block recently, because of the electrical overheating, and they had to suspend any activities in that area. So those are some real concerns, and Sir touched on infrastructural issues. Of course, we don't have other issues, but we try to make the boys very happy mentally, you know, and holistically. So not only focus on the infrastructural issues, but we also have other initiatives that are financially, I wouldn't say a burden, but are financially, you know, exhaustive. Such as we have programs, of course, with gender-based violence.
Yes,
so you know how serious that has been. Again, it came back up in the new year. So the young men receive training on how to manage themselves and masculinity. We also do things on mental health, because again, we have to ensure that the holistic environment is conducive for learning, yes, but also conducive for a well-rounded young man. So it's a lot. As parents, we do try to voice as best as we can, and we sometimes are the voice over the school where we can, you know, and that is an important role that we don't take for granted. We would have lobbied in the past to get the hall that was down for many years. My son entered in 2017, and I believe it's right after the pandemic or so when the hall was actually instituted. However, since then, because of the work that was done, there have been excessive leaks, and I've actually witnessed flooding. Right? Recently, we went to the gym, and because of the rain that we had, items in the back of the gym were soaked, and they had to be, some things had to be discarded. So these are some really, really burning infrastructure issues, but we also try to tackle the other issues on the mental health side as well.
Now, Mr. Simon, to what extent, I mean, what you've described and what Ms. Calendar George has described, QRC is still up and running, but how is this really affecting the delivery of education? And education is not just in the classroom, it's throughout the entire day. How is it affecting the delivery of education?
Well, you touched on a couple of things there, so let me deal even before I get to that. You spoke about the fact that QRC is still up and running. Of course, it's up and running through the efforts of the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Education has scarce resources to manage.
If I may just interrupt. Through the efforts of the teachers and the parents as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to get to that. So the Ministry of Education has its scarce resources to manage, and we have to deal with that. We have to deal with whatever we get when the vote is allocated to us. We then need to be very creative as an institution. We need to be very resilient. And for that, you're correct, we do have the assistance of the students and the teachers when we ourselves get involved in our fundraising. So recently we had our October affair, and for that October affair, it is a social day where we have all of our stalls, and our parents and the community will come out and they're part of that. We have a party that we throw after. So the school itself engages in a number of activities as we attempt to raise funds. We also have the PTA, as represented by our president this morning, and we also have the Old Boys Association. All of these organizations play a very significant role in our attempts to keep the plant running. Mm-hmm. Let me just give you an example. Some years ago, the area we now refer to as the North Lawn that is where many of the teachers, well, all of the teachers and our visitors had to park. That area was just pure mud because it was just the dirt and the grass, the constant driving on it when rain fell. It was just a muddy area. Very unsightly too, because it is right in front of the main building area and to those viewing as they pass the savannah. In order for us to deal with that, that figure was almost $400,000 to bring that area with our pavers and everything up. That was a significant sum of money. The Old Boys Association stepped in, and it is through the FET and proceeds that came from the FET that we were able to have that area paved with the pavers, and it is far more comfortable now. It looks very nice, but those of us who remember would remember that area being a mud patch. From the last FET, we were able to put in place a number of infrastructural things like the lights. All right, the lighting around the compound was significantly improved after the last FET that we had, because what was done is that interwoven into the spend for the infrastructure for the FET, we looked at the needs of the school and attempted to marry both. So that last committee played an important role in getting that. So it is through efforts of teachers, students, parents, as well as the Old Boys Association that we limp along at times. But we're able to make it, and we're able to do quite well. You spoke about the multifaceted aspect of education, and Queen's Royal College is very big on that all-round education. So for example, again, with the assistance of the Old Boys Association, every year we send a team to the pen relays. The Old Boys Association gives a financial donation, which comes from the FET and any other activities that they have, right? So they are constantly, we do have our achievement day this Thursday in Queen's Hall. I had to pick up the phone and call the president of the PTA and say, well, we need refreshments for that particular day. This is the bill, and we expect that type of assistance.
Wow. So then, Ms. Calendar George, this relationship between the principal and the staff, the PTA, the Old Boys, is very integral to ensure that QRC, or any other school for a matter of fact, really pushes through and pushes on.
Correct, totally correct. It cannot be done alone. It cannot be done alone. And I want to emphasize that QRC is a public school. It's not a board school, as some people may think. And just as any other public school, we do have our challenges, but we have a group of stakeholders that are invested in the young men. That's it. That's the main, that's our why, our young men. And this is why we're here and what we do and what we do.
I think that term is really synonymous with the conversation that we're having this morning, invested in the young men of QRC. So let's get in to the
fun part.
Fun part, yes, the fun part, and that's on January 27th. Enter the majestic kingdom of celebration as QRC presents what deems to be the most extravagant event of the year, and that is Fete Royal, the coronation. So let me start, Mr. Simon, the coronation. I like the theme, but I want to know why was that theme chosen for this year's event?
Well, I think that the answer to that is obvious. I mean, the Queen's Royal College has always been associated with royalty, and recently there was a coronation with a new king placed on the throne in England, in Great Britain. So we decided to just play on that theme, give it the carnival swing. It's not difficult for us to do that because of our name, Queen's Royal College. And then we have the most beautiful building in all of Trinidad and Tobago, if not the entire region.
You certainly do. And royal blue.
And of course, the blue bloods.
And that's the thing. Why does this fete promise to be the most extravagant of the year?
Because we always improve. So we would have had some challenges last year with our food. So we looked at that as well. We would have changed our layout. We would have added items to the menu. And for the ladies, we do have our Prosecco Unlimited, right? So we're not going to have an issue with Prosecco. What we did do, especially with this committee, was to go back over the years and look at the product that was KRC and the brand that it had. And of course, we know that we are proud to say that we are probably the only brand that's standing from the original all-inclusive fetes, right? From a school level, that we have survived, and we are, as Sir mentioned, we are resilient. So we continuously look at ways of improving the FET and experience. And this year promised to be a royal event. So you are going to be treated as like
give us a bit more insight, because the ladies love to hear you've got a full flow of Prosecco.
So Prosecco.
But what more is there?
So of course, this year we also offered, even though everyone is royalty, we offered an extra little touch of cabanas for our corporate corporate supporters, as well as a wide array of performances. Yeah. So we bring in the market, the whole, I don't know if I could say the whole Blinken market.
You can say that.
So we have a whole royal Blinken market. Of course, we have Ms. Nadia Batson and her band. We do have, I should say, Her Majesty. We do have His Majesty, Vikings of soca.
Okay.
Yeah, so that promises to be a trend, a treat, I should say. And of course, His Majesty Kess and his band are going to be there, full band performance. So it's
and His Majesty Raymond
Ramner, right?
You have
so we have 4 big bands.
Very, very big bands indeed. Mr. Simon, how is this all being pulled together? How are preparations coming along?
I would say that preparations are coming along quite fine. I would urge individuals to get your tickets, and because those tickets are moving quite nicely. We are very pleased with how things are going. So people can get their tickets. Of course, you can get your tickets at our box office at Queen's Royal College, 6221671. Tickets are also available at all Bagalitos outlets in Long Circular Mall, Grand Bazaar, and of course in C3. And online, you can get them from frontlineticketing.com. There is also a ticket hotline number 372-1857. And of course, you can follow us on social media at QRC Events, at QRC PTA, or at QRC OBA.
I think y'all are going to be happy. I've got frontline tickets right here.
That is nice.
I pulled it up one time, ladies and gentlemen. So from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Starting, as I said, 6 p.m. or 1 a.m. Yes. January 27th, which is next weekend. Not this weekend coming, next weekend. So you still have some time, but do you still really want to wait? Tickets are going very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. And it's happening at Queen's Royal College. Fet Royal, where everyone is treated like royalty. I like that.
Yeah.
I definitely like that. Because when I go to a Fet, and especially in all-inclusive, that's what I want to feel like. Yeah. So, to the PTA and to the old boys, all the work that they're doing, thank you very much and congratulations. And to the principal and to the staff that make all this possible, all the hard work that's going into it, regardless of the challenges, invested in our young men. Thank you guys. And I really hope that this all pulls together so well. We'll have a follow-up conversation.
Of course.
And
thank you.
Noah, thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. And ladies and gentlemen, just to remind you, if you would like, not if you would like, please do so actually donate to Queen's Royal College. You can do so via Republic Bank Limited, Queen's Royal College, account number 5601-983-80101, and that's a checking account. And it's up on your screen. I just call this out for you just in case, but it's up on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. So please donate for a good cause as we invest in our future of Trinidad and Tobago. So, as we end, Fet Royal, the coronation. Thank you guys very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us, and we appreciate being here this
Certainly. Well, do have a great day, and I'll see you next weekend.
All right.
We look forward to having you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break on the program. When we return, we'll get into some more carnival conversations. We'll be right back.
Here is the WESN News on the Hour. I am Sarah Ali. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. PNM Tobago Council leader Ansel Dennis urges realism on autonomy's impact. Rising hospitalizations in TNT linked to respiratory illness, including COVID-19. Decomposed body found floating near Caricum Jetty at the port. In regional news, St. Kitts and Nevis Ministry of Health ensures vigilant respiratory surveillance in light of COVID spike. Now for the details. Ansel Dennis, the political leader of the PNM Tobago Council, cautioned Tobagonians against viewing autonomy as a cure-all for the challenges faced by the island. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday at the party's headquarters in Scarborough, Dennis emphasized the need for realistic expectations regarding the potential benefits of autonomy. His remarks followed the Prime Minister's recent announcement made during the funeral of former Chief Secretary Ho Choy Charles that the Tobago Self-Government Bill and the Tobago Island Administration Bill, currently under review by a Parliamentary Joint Select Committee, will soon be reintroduced to Parliament. Trinidad and Tobago are witnessing a surge in hospitalizations due to respiratory illnesses, as reported by Dr. Faith B. Israel, the Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection in Tobago. Beyond the challenges posed by the COVID-19 virus, a variety of respiratory pathogens contributing to the escalating hospital admission rates. During an appearance on the Tobago Update program, Dr. B. Israel highlighted the co-circulation of these diverse respiratory illnesses, expressing concern among healthcare professionals. She noted that the holiday period in the previous year likely facilitated increased movement between Trinidad and Tobago and other international territories grappling with similar respiratory issues on a larger scale. A man's decomposed body was discovered floating in the waters off the port of Port of Spain on Monday morning. The grisly finding was made by workers at the Queen's Wharf, specifically at the Caricum Jetty, around 7:30 a.m. Authorities, included police and the Coast Guard, were promptly notified of the discovery. Regionally, the Minister of Health in St. Kitts and Nevis reassures the public of its ongoing robust respiratory surveillance activities aimed at monitoring and promptly detecting any rise in respiratory infections in the country. This commitment follows a call from the Pan American Health Organization, urging member states to uphold vigilant surveillance due to heightened levels of acute respiratory diseases reported in the region of the Americas, attributed to SARS-CoV-2, influenza, and respiratory syncytial virus. In St. Kitts and Nevis, emergency room physicians on both islands are actively assessing and investigating all patients presenting with fever and respiratory symptoms. These symptoms include headaches, coughing, sore throat, loss of taste or smell, shortness of breath, joint pains, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. The Minister of Health emphasizes that SARS-CoV-2 is now an epidemic. Well, that's it. News on the Hour on WESN. I am Sarah Ali. Thank you for watching.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen, and as I mentioned, we'll be continuing with our carnival conversations this morning. Now, Calypso tents. Who could forget good old Calypso tents? Well, a lot of people in Trinidad, and guess what? Tuco recognize that, and they're now putting in place, or have already put in place, different measures, various efforts to bring audiences back to Calypso tents. And I think that's absolutely important because we cannot forget the art form, we cannot forget the tradition. Efforts are there, ladies and gentlemen. So, as Tuco are making such efforts, I'm joined this morning by the Assistant Public Relations Officer, Ms. Miguela Simon, and she's with us virtually. Hello there, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having us.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me on the program. And as I mentioned, efforts really and measures in place to really bring audiences back to tents. But let me ask you, Ms. Simon, in your opinion, what really makes a successful Calypso tent?
Well, definitely in terms of a Calypso tent, you need that mix in the presentations. It's a lot that goes into it. You're talking about the Calypsonians, the band, the MC, all those things draw persons, even the location. So to have a good Calypso tent, you need all these things working holistically together so that it can draw audiences.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that previously there was a lack of variety, a lack of performance, that everything seems so synonymous and even, forgive me, depressing at times? That lack of variety and performance was missing.
But I guess over the years, as with everything else, we've had transformations and we've had ups and downs. And a lot of persons would definitely say that over the past few years, Calypso has been experiencing a bit of a down. But yes, in some instances, you can say that there was a lack in that variety and that kind of thing being portrayed on stage. And of course, Tuco is here to try to inject or to reignite that flame that once was there, that magic that once certainly is still Calypso.
Well, I like how you phrased that, injecting that magic that is back into the tent and the magic of Calypso. Now, not that everything evolves. It's not that we want to live in the old days while still pushing forward, but part of it as well that has been mentioned is the injection of humorous Calypso. Rather than there seems to be this upbeat tempo, and there's a lot of social commentary at times that focuses on politicians. But the injection of humor into such, are we seeing more of that? Or is that what Tuco is hoping for?
We again embrace all aspects of Calypso. Humor is definitely a discussion that we've been having across the table in terms of revitalizing that humorous aspect. Because Calypso, again, we as Trinidadians, even if you want to speak on the serious issues, sometimes what we do as Trinidadians is we add humor to it. We want to say what we want to say, but we know how to say it in a humorous way. So definitely, again, I'm saying humor has its place, the social commentary, the politics, so all areas of Calypso, they have their place. But we do want to revitalize and revamp and encourage persons to also explore the humorous side of Calypso.
So what are some of the measures that Tuku has implemented or is actually exploring in regards to really bringing audiences back to the tents? What is Tuku doing to raise the entertainment value?
Well, you can see that this year tents we've expanded in terms of adding a lot of new young talent. If you look at across the board in terms of the Tuku tents, you would see a lot of new faces on the cast. We've also been trying to add some of, like you said, the up-tempo. So like we have at Kaiso House, we have Mikhail Teja would be performing. When Kaiso Showcase opens its doors, we had Joshua Regrello on stage as well. So you see that we're trying to encourage all types of audiences. We've been looking as well as having different types of shows. So when you come to the tent every night, you're not going to get the same show. And it's being varied for different audiences, as well as you're going to have time changes or keeping a more compact, tight show. Because one of the challenges or one of the issues that people would have brought up is that they find that the shows go on a little too long, that they are a little too lengthy. And we have a lot of mature persons in the audience, so they would like to get home at a particular time. So we are trying as best as possible to keep those shows as tight and as entertaining. So we're not going to lose the value of what we present, but we're going to keep it tight, well-structured, and entertaining. Even Kaiser House has added the dimension of having these large screens at the tent. So it presents an atmosphere where it's welcoming and allows persons to come and sit and relax and enjoy what's happening, which is us, Calypso.
Have all tents subscribed to what Tuku is pushing for in regards to what you just mentioned?
Well, as much as possible, because again, you want to put on a show and each tent is located in a different area. So you kind of want to also cater for the persons in your community. So you try to appeal to them. But yes, more or less, because of the fact that we all meet and we discuss, try to share ideas. We've been sharing ideas in terms of best practices and what has worked for one tent so that we can all be on the same page, so to speak.
So one of the bigger things within recent years is also how social media has now become a huge part of everyday life, everything we do. And how has Tuku utilized social media, or is Tuku utilizing social media to really bring people and get more young people involved in the art form and these tents?
Yeah, well, I know you're poking at me there now, being the Assistant Public Relations Officer.
Well, you have the title,
So we are trying our best to utilize social media platforms. We, in terms of young people, we do now have our Instagram page, which we try to keep abreast and keep updated. But I would say that definitely we do have more work to do. We still have a lot to do in terms of pushing the social media aspect. The Facebook page, I think, works a lot better for us right now than the Instagram, but we are trying to get more young people involved, and of course that means using other platforms on social media other than Facebook. So we are making strides, we are making steps towards it, and we do have a nice team. I'm going to say a nice youthful team, but I'm just poking some people there. And we are going to do our best to try to get things the way it needs to be. I mean, Rome was not built in a day, so it's going to take steps. And this present executive has not even been in has not been elected and started to work for even a year yet. So we are still in the embryo stage in terms of getting things. It's our first carnival as a team, and we are hoping to really get things flowing. The first thing we would have had, major event would have been when we had the concert series in October, and we did use social media platforms for that, and I think it worked well in terms of pushing it, and we intend to continue doing it and using whatever platforms are available, because like I said, definitely right now social media is the way. And I almost forgot, we do have a YouTube page which we encourage calypsonians and soca artists to send their music so that we can upload it on Tupo's YouTube page.
Well, I'm glad though that you mentioned previously that there are a longer list this year in terms of younger artists performing and individuals who are relatively new to the scene actually performing at these tents. So that is encouraging. You also mentioned that there's been efforts to try and reduce the length of the actual show. So you're not going to be sitting down for hours upon hours at a Calypso tent. But is it that such long shows are no longer sustainable?
Because there are so many competing entities right around Carnival time. You have so much happening, and the fact is as well that we have, over the years, our audiences are very mature, so they do not like coming out late in the evening or staying out late in the evening and then having to get home. So we want to keep it compact to keep those audiences entertained and involved and able to come to the tent and not miss a thing, as well as encourage younger persons to come see what we have, because when young persons go to parties and stuff these days, they go really late. So it would encourage them to come at least check out a Calypso tent, listen, see what we have, and then, if you so desire, move on to your parties.
But there's also, I mean, practically speaking, the reality of the situation is security is a major issue now. Is that also something that TUCO took into consideration?
Yes, it definitely is, because I think that's chief browse that people have in terms of the level of things that are occurring in the country right now, the crime, the situation as well. So people really trying to avoid being out late, particularly, like I said, the more senior persons in the community. So to allow them to still have or enjoy the culture and not be afraid of getting home after. Yes, we took that into consideration.
Now, moving on to another big issue, funding for these tents. It's challenging. Without a doubt, it is challenging. But has that challenge really seen some sort of reprieve this year, or is it just getting more and more difficult?
Well, like I said, things don't remain stagnant, changing economic times, so everything keeps going up. It's a challenge for the tents, it's a challenge for the entertainers as well. And we do embrace and thank the government for the continued assistance by way of the subvention. However, yes, it definitely takes a lot out of you to try to get everything in order that you want to see, all the dynamics that you want to see happening in the tent, and not having the funding to do so. So tents basically have to become creative, right? And even in ticket pricing, we see the price of tickets being what, $100 in some instances, and even we have 2-on-1 tickets being sold. Strategies to get people to come in, but also because we know the pockets of our patrons, as well as we're trying to ensure that more persons come in. But definitely funding is still a challenge, it's still an issue if you want all the pretty thing and nice thing and all the glamour and glitz that go with it. Money. So I can't agree right now that money ain't no problem.
I mean, you honestly response. But I think also people tend to forget that these tents cost quite a bit of money to run, to operate, to have. And I really hope that the support is there. The response, though, thus far, given the measures that TUCO have really put in place and that these tents are implementing, really to bring audiences back. Any feedback on the response thus far from the public?
Yes. So far, we've had Tobago Tent Magnificent Glow has opened its doors, and they would have said that, yes, it was a great show. TUCO Kaiso Showcase in San Fernando as well, even though on that same night we had small bands finals in San Fernando happening. Basically, TUCO's Kaiso Showcase house was basically sold out, and Kaiso Caravan as well opens its doors on the 13th. So far, opening nights have been great, and we do look forward to tomorrow, please God. We have Classic Russo, and on Thursday, Kaiso House will be opening its doors. So we do hope that those are packed audiences as well, but so far, we've been able to see a lot of persons coming out on opening night, at least to the tents.
And finally, Ms. Simon, what are you hoping for? What are you hoping to see for Carnival 2024? I mean, we're already in it, but what are you really expecting, you and the organization?
Well, that tagline that we have in terms of reigniting the Calypso magic, I really would like to see, we would really like to see more persons again coming back to the tent, enjoying on Calypso and enjoying what we have to offer. Calypso is us, Calypso is Trinidad and Tobago. It is part of our culture. And more young people, a lot of Calypsonians over the years, or persons who are still involved in Calypso, they would have said that their grandmothers or their mothers or their aunts or somebody would have brought them to the Calypso tent. So there are shows that cater to youth. I know that Kaiso Showcase does have a youth-oriented show where they're encouraging young people to come out, and they're going to have a nice mix of Calypso and other types of music as well, but predominantly Calypso. So we're going to encourage, I want to see people come out, embrace what is ours, reignite that magic that is Calypso.
And what would you deem to be a successful season for TUCO? How, at the end of it all, how would TUCO measure its success?
I guess it would be by persons turning up. We really want to see the tents full again. We want to see young people in the tent and people just enjoying Calypso music. Yes.
Certainly. Well, Ms. Simon, thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning. It really has been a pleasure indeed. And thanks for also speaking about the measures that have been put in place and are being put in place. And certainly wishing the tents all the very best. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
All the very best. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. A lot has been placed before TUCO. They've considered a lot and they've implemented such measures. For example, we have a larger audience in terms of new individuals or individuals who are relatively new to the Calypso scene and the Calypso fraternity. Shorter show times, that has also been considered. So all around, you can see efforts are being put in place. It's now up to us as the people of Trinidad and Tobago, who this art form belongs to to really support it. Again, I encourage everyone to make the effort. If you've never been to a Calypso tent, please go to one. It is a great, amazing experience. And for those who have been there already, continue to go. There's so many on offering. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this edition of AM Prime. I want to thank you all for joining me on the program this morning. It really has been a pleasure indeed. And thanks very much to my first guest, Principal of QRC, David Simon, and President of the PTA, Ms. Esther Calendar George, for joining me on the program as we speak about the challenges the school is facing, but also the efforts, the collaboration between the principal and staff, the PT and the Old Boys Association, for example, to really ensure that QRC pushes forward, as Ms. Calendar George said, investing in our young men. And beyond that, Fête Royale on Saturday the 27th of January at Queen's Royal College. Tickets are still available, frontlinetickets.com. You can get your tickets online there, all inclusive. And, well, for the ladies, Prosecco really is flowing that night. They have 4 full bands and a bit of surprises that we can't tell you about as yet. But from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m., you can join them for Fête Royale, the Coronation 2024. Promises to be the most extravagant fête of the year. You and your family will be treated like royalty. And of course, Ms. Miguela Simon of Tuco joining me on the program this morning. We thank them very much for all their efforts and their hard work. Well, I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been AM Prime on the Content Capital, as we see the premier platform for Caribbean content. And we have a lot more for you throughout the course of the day. And join me again tomorrow morning for some more conversations. But ladies and gentlemen, keep well, stay strong, live happily, don't be selfish. Always preach that. Always consider others and consider everyone else in your actions and in your words. But until tomorrow morning, I'll see you around. Bye-bye.
WESN.
I'm Sean Michael Small, and we are WESN, the Content Capital. Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website, www.fanzonett.com, for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website, fanzonett.com, to make your purchase today.
In
Is it politics? What is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you do nowadays.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least